We're now joined by Dr. Jill Carey from the CEO of Festina Lente, and it's been a stunning day here. We've seen so many young horses, young kids who want to become riders potentially, and we've seen Colin Keane, which must have been very special.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And even better that he got up on a pony.
Yeah, I think he's really he's kind of grown into it.
Yeah, he said he came from a riding centre himself, so he's obviously been around horses a lot. But I can imagine the feel of riding one of our ponies is very different to a racing horse that he's used to. But he seemed to enjoy it. You know, and if you have a love of horses, regardless of, you know, what type they are, you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and you were just saying the number of kids that you bring through here every year is quite staggering.
Thousands, literally thousands. And I suppose the wonderful thing about what we do here is that for people who can't come into Festina Lente, either to ride or to groom or to be around horses, we have an outreach programme, and we bring ponies out to places like St. Patrick's Mental Health Hospital, St. John of God Hospital, nursing homes, people with the onset of early dementia, schools, literally anybody who, whatever reason right now, can't come into us, we bring the ponies out to them. That's a full-time service.
Yeah, I think it was Churchill who said the outside of a man does wonders for the inside.
That's right.
The outside of a horse does wonders for the inside of a man. But I mean, you're a testament to that. You can see that.
Oh, completely. I mean, it's amazing the impact that horses have, the effect that horses have on people. You know, there's so many stories I could tell you, but I don't know, you probably don't remember St. Eaton's Portaram, but it was an institution of people with disabilities, and they de-institutionalised about 30 years ago. And the first 3 men who actually came out of there still come out to us now for different sessions, and the smile on the face when they come in, and all they do for them is just pet the pony and just to have that kind of interaction with the pony. It's unbelievable. And then you might have seen earlier on, there was a young lady in a wheelchair, and she works with the small pony, so she's at the same height level as the pony, and she
big smile on her face.
Oh, it's just it just brings something to people that, you know, until you experience, it's very difficult to articulate. Yeah,
and you are obviously hoping to move as well, and you've involved in a lot of fundraising here.
Yeah, we're not hoping to, we are moving. You know, it's written in the stars, I say. So our lease expires in 2 to 3 years. We have identified a site.
It'll be a wrench to leave here, I'd say, as well.
No, it'll be brilliant.
Well,
it'll be brilliant because we'll be able to have a purpose-built building. I mean, this is an old cow yard. We'd like to have lots of other things for horses that they don't have right now. We'd like to have a conference centre. We'd like to have a purpose-built arena. There's so much that we want to be, so that we can really be, you know, kind of a national leader in the whole field of equine-assisted work. So we have just about raised the money for the purchase, which is just a mere 2.85 million. And now the next stage is to find upwards of 20 million to actually build. So we're just transitioning from that smaller amount into the bigger amount.
And if people would like to get involved, it's I suppose what struck me was the sheer spread of young kids from different backgrounds and all sorts of different, you know, I guess like roles in life already for them.
Absolutely. So I mean, it's a very integrated model which works really well for people who are marginalised, because then they can actually come in and position themselves in a place of responsibility and care for horses. And it's also really important for kids who may not be exposed to disability, so that when they come in, they can sort of see what it means for somebody who hasn't got the same circumstances to be around horses. And truthfully, once people come over the threshold, it doesn't really matter who you are, because what's important at that point in time is the engagement with the horses and what people get out of it. Because we've multiple programs. It's not riding, we do vaulting, we do psychoeducational vaulting, we do groundwork, equine assisted learning, therapeutic riding. And that's the wonderful thing about horses, is that they are for everybody, regardless of who you are.
I've always said if you put 100 kids on horses, 50 of them would fall in love straight away.
99.
No, 99 maybe, actually. I was wrong, yeah. And you will be at Longines Champions Weekend as well.
Absolutely. We look forward to being there. We're bringing our miniature ponies. We've got 4 miniature ponies, and we're bringing them up with us. And we also have lots of raffles and lots of interesting things to share with people. So we look forward to that.
Hopefully the weather's like this.
It will be, yeah.
We're here with Rua now, who's one of the beautiful animals here. And in terms of, Rua's loving it today. In terms of the differences, the kids you have, so some local traveller kids as well, who we were introduced to today, we seem to be loving the horses.
Yeah. So we're delighted to work with the school next door called St. Kieran's School for Children from the Dublin community. And there's 60 children in there, and they're all such special kids. They're wonderful kids. So they come into us probably, I'd say 2 or 3 times a week, either as part of a planned programme or they might just come in for a bit of, space. Maybe schools get a little bit overwhelming. So literally they just walk around and come in. And over the years, we've seen such changes with some of those kids. It's just amazing to watch. And of course, the travelling community have a natural affinity with horses. So they just love coming in to see, the horses here. And they also volunteer for a lot of our programs here, because we teach people how to run therapeutic gliding lessons, and we teach people how to run equine assisted learning. And so we're always looking for volunteers for the learners. And so the kids are always literally just queuing up just to come in. So it's it's a great relationship that we've developed with them over time.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Like all kids, when they come in here, they're all equal pretty much. They're all on a horse.
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of who you are or where you're from or what your strengths are, what your support needs, it actually makes no difference whatsoever. I mean, the 2 kids that came into us today had never sat on a horse before.
Oh wow!
As brave as punch, they got up on the ponies and they loved it, and they were exhausted afterwards.
I think I saw one of the kids from one of the horses made a noise. She was a bit jolted.
Yeah.
By the end, she knew what she was doing exactly. Like that must give you a great kind of personal satisfaction as well.
Absolutely. I mean, to see the confidence it takes to come into a place that they may not necessarily know that well. They're not back to school until the day after tomorrow, and then they're up on a horse, and everybody's looking at them, and then they go out. I mean, they thought they're just going to ride in the arena, and then they go out into the field. It's just wonderful for them.
The day they'll remember.
Completely, yeah, and they'll be queuing up to come back in again.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here with the champion jockey, still just about champion jockey, Colin Keane. You're out here as the star of the show in Festina Lente. He came in, there wasn't a meg out of him, and by the end you were basically a riding instructor.
Basically, Johnny, yeah. Well, I think they taught me more than I taught them, to be honest.
What was it like for you, actually?
Sure, it's great. Actually, years ago, we had a riding school at home, so I had some sort of an idea, but no, the kids are great, and it's a great idea here, so it is. All backgrounds, children, all abilities, and as you can see, the ponies are second to none. They're very quiet. I think you could even learn a 2 or 3 off them.
See about that. This could be the time for you to finally start riding a horse, actually hitting 40 this year. You did mention that though, like kids from different backgrounds. I think 2 of the girls there had hardly sat in a horse before, and they seemed to fall in love with it.
That's right, yeah. I think they only came in today listening to the guys, and like that, fell in love with it straight away. They were very plucky, and as I say, the ponies were a big help. They were very laid back and very quiet, which I think gives the children a bit of trust in them. Yeah,
Festina Lente involved as a charity partner with the Longines Irish Champions Weekend this year, and you can almost see some of these girls, they might end up wanting to be jockeys in time, I'd say.
Yeah, there was 1 or 2 little girls there. I'd say Rachel Blackmore might want to watch her back. The way she was, the way they were going around there, they were very up for it, so they were.
Rachel, I was just in Kilbeggan last Friday, and the amount of people who wanted to be photographed with their young girls must be an inspiration for the girls we see here today. Like so many young girls riding horses.
You'd have to imagine so. I think in recent years, since Rachel has been doing so well, I think in race especially, the amount of girls that have joined it has gone up massively. She's brilliant for the sport, so she is. And
Festina Lente obviously involved, as you mentioned, with kids from different backgrounds, but can you tell us about how a horse can sort of help humans of different sort of, I guess, disabilities or not, just to put a smile on their face, and there's that sort of relationship between them?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking at them here today. The ponies are so relaxed, so trusting, and I think that comes out in the people then, and they're not nervous around them. I don't know how you describe it.
How did you fall in love with the horse?
I suppose being around it from such a young age, we were probably more around thoroughbreds, which probably weren't as trusting. But when we got into the ponies and did plenty of show jumping and hunting, when you have a good pony, there's not a better feeling, I don't think, really. There's
a lot to be said for a place like this, isn't there?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, just to confirm with your lines, you didn't pick up an injury, no?
No, I'm okay.
Yeah, it's just no Paul Carberry, nothing getting up in a stag or anything like that. You'll be all right for Champions Weekend. Yeah, we're now joined by 2 of the main patrons of Festina Lente. On my left is John Green, on my right is Finbar Cahill. Just starting with you, Finbar. This is probably easy to answer, but why did you get involved in a project like this?
The lady who started this was Mary Rachel Brophy, the wife of Niall Brophy, the famous Irish rugby player. She happens to be a cousin of my wife's, and one of the first people was a niece of my wife. So I was roped in early, so it was.
Yeah,
I've never sort of stayed with it.
You didn't regret it?
Never ever, not at all. Still don't.
Just tell us about the place. I mean, from January to December, what do you do? So many kids coming through from different backgrounds.
People coming through from all sorts of backgrounds, and one of the things that I sort of really take pride in to some extent, but I shouldn't take the same amount of pride as people like Jill Carey and their predecessor take. The exponential growth in the place has just been phenomenal. The demand for it is phenomenal. The demand now, there's a waiting list. People are begging to get in here, you know, and it facilitates so many people with so many difficulties, you know. It is just a fantastic place. And then the fact that there are horses around, you know, like I love horses. I've always loved horses. It's just a special feel. You walk in here, there's a special feel to it. So
yeah, horses make people happy, don't they, John?
They do, and all sorts of people. And one of the great things, if you come and watch an equine assisted learning class, where there's a facilitator in there with somebody who has some sort of problem, maybe a young adult or maybe an older adult. And there was one of the eyewitnesses was a young adult girl came in. She had 2 children. She hadn't spoken for months to anybody, and they sat down and the facilitator started speaking to her, and then the horses released into the small arena with her. And after about 10 minutes, the horse came over and nuzzled up to her, just nuzzled up to her. And within 20 minutes, she was bawling her eyes out. And then that person became an assistant, quite assistant.
We all need some therapy sessions here, I think.
So it was just this extraordinary place. But we started out in a very small way up in Kilturnan. Mary Brophy was the instigator. I'd done holidays, respite holidays, and Mary did a respite holiday in Blackrock College, and then she came to me and said, we're missing a trick here. It's not the respite they want, it's where somewhere people go after school. And so we set up as a training centre for people who had disabilities so they could go out in the big wide world in some way. You know? And that's really what we do. And we're trying to, I think the modern monogram is, you know, the place which helps people do their best. And so when you come in here, there are people in the gardens who've had cancer and people had strokes or whatever, they're recovering, working here with what is the most integrated riding school in the country. Nobody knows what the problems of everybody else are, but it just works.
I think
that's down to the staff.
Yeah, and wonderful staff. And isn't that the point as well, Finbar? The horse doesn't know who you are. The horse doesn't differentiate between you.
Not at all. And you see that the kids and the people who are using them, you know, they just like they love the horses and the horses love them. You can see the empathy all the time, so you can. It's just there just is a feeling about the whole place. There's a calmness about it. There's a lovely, relaxed atmosphere, and you see people enjoying themselves. People who are obviously have difficulties, but they still, you know, it's a very special place.
And moving to a new location as well.
They have to. Their lease is up in 2025. It's a huge undertaking to try and get the move effective, but they have to move. There'll be more space. They'll own the property, which they don't own all of this, but you know, it'll be a very different thing. There obviously it's a huge fundraising demand, so there is, and it's not the best time in the world to go into the fundraising scene. So it's not. Look. Jill Carey has a great belief, and that belief carries us all forward. Hopefully it'll all work out.
Absolutely, her enthusiasm is infectious.
Yeah, it's totally infectious. She's a wonderful woman. Deserves great credit for her. A lot of people do, but Jill particularly, and the people around her, you know, she's an infectious person. She's a great believer. It will happen. We just have to make it happen.
And John, I think it was Churchill who said the outside of a horse was one is for the inside of a man. Now, if we were here this morning for the inside of a woman, because we're full of girls and women here, but that actually bears true, really.
Oh, absolutely. But I think one of the things that we do here, which is above and beyond other rights, we're a place of research as well, and Jill has become a doctor. She's done a postdoctorate, and we really rely on getting the information out. It's a hard thing to say it's science-based, but it is actually based on information, and what people are experiencing here we're writing up and hoping that it can spread out. So the goal would be Festina Lente moves down to just outside Newtown and Kennedy, and we end up having lots of satellites around, so this can be replicated all over the country.
Absolutely, I think there's so much people could learn from here. And speaking of Churchill, you have a horse by Churchill. You're involved in the ownership game.
Philippa Churchill, she's a big. We bought her as a yearling sale. She was cheap. She's actually called my birthday girl because, you know what, there are very many reasons you buy horses, but this one happened to be foaled in my birthday.
Beautiful. She has to be good.
I was looking at her when I saw this. Definitely. Oh no, immediately. She thought Churchill for me.
She has to be good.
He said to me, the dear one or the cheap one, and I said, what do you think? Knowing you, the cheap one. There you go. You know.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully it should be good. I've been lucky with it.
You have indeed. And we've all been lucky to be here today, and long may it continue.